You're listening to Oilers Nation Radio, presented by the Nation Network. Subscribe for free on iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts from.
Thank you very much, Lisa. Welcome to Oilers Nation Radio, episode 54, brought to you by our good friends, the wonderful people at Sherwood Ford out in Sherwood Park, Alberta. Go ahead and follow them on Twitter at Sherwood Ford and on Instagram at SherwoodFord_the-Giant. I want to remind you that if you see the Nation truck out and about, snap a picture, hashtag it with Nation Truck, and you are going to be put in a draw for a $100 gas card.
Also, could they please tag us and Sherwood Ford on social media? And those tags are Bag Milk.
On Twitter, it's at Sherwood Ford, and on Instagram, it is at SherwoodFord_the-Giant. If you are looking for a brand new vehicle, head on out and see them. Not only are they wonderful people, but you get a chance to tour the wonderful community of Sherwood Park, Alberta. Now, we are going to start off today's episode with a very important story, arguably the most important story we've worked on in some time now. Our very own Tyler Yaremchuk saw Oscar Klefbom feeding the abs today. Tyler, please tell us about your Oscar Klefbom sighting.
Yeah, so I left my regular day job at the radio station, and I slowly started wandering over to Nation HQ. I was like, man, I need some food, so I stopped at a local burger joint who shall remain nameless because they're not a sponsor. And if our listeners find out Klefbom eats there, I mean, we might be causing a real uptick in business. So
he's very handsome.
I stop at a downtown burger joint. I park my car. I start to walk in, and I'm like, man, why is there a model hanging out outside on his phone? And then as I got closer, I'm like, this guy isn't even speaking English. What is going on? And then as I looked for probably about the 12th consecutive second right at him, I was like, oh, shit, that's Oscar Klefbom. And he definitely looked at me, and we made like awkward eye contact because it was one of those like he knew that I recognized him. So I was like looking at him being like, And then, yeah, I walked inside of the burger joint. I was standing getting ready to place my order. And he walked up next to me to like the register next to me. And he also ordered a burger. And then I was like, oh, boy, we're ordering at the same time here. And then as I went to go stand off to the side where you wait for your burger, he kind of like originally stood close to me. And then he walked outside and he took another phone call, I believe. But he was just sitting on the curb talking on his phone, like on the concrete, pretty much on the ground. It was interesting.
Frankly, he's doing a public service as far as I'm concerned. It's a very handsome man sitting on a public curb. All the passersby get to look at him.
Yeah,
very
although
nice.
It could have been a distraction for people driving by, but
Could
regardless.
Now, I'm not a detective, but you said there's two separate lineups, so I'm assuming it's some sort of fast food chain. So I will get to the bottom of this for the people.
Today
we
we
will
have-
not disclose.
Today we have
I'm
Jay
on the case.
sitting in on the podcast on Oilers Nation Radio. He is fresh off a trip from Finland, a little stopover in Russia. We are going to get to that shortly. He met some famous people. He had some times. He was in some kind of weird spas. I don't know what's going on over there, but it sounded like a great time. But first, I want to talk about the Edmonton Oilers training camp, which is well underway. They made 13 cuts today, in addition to sending Stuart Skinner back yesterday. We've had Tyler Benson, Cameron Hebig, Caleb Jones, Kirill Maksimov, Cooper Marody, Ryan McLeod, Anthony Peluso, Dmitri Samorukov, and Dylan Wells, all getting sent down to their respective teams. We also had Josh Currie, Joseph Gambardella, Keegan Lowe, and Brad Malone being placed on waivers for the purpose of assignment today. Now, are any of those names surprising to any of you? Daniel, I will start with you.
No, I think I said it last week or might have been the week before where I just kind of said like the ceiling is real tough for them to break through right now because there is so many scratch ticket players. There's so many guys that they brought in with the sole purpose of fixing the bottom six. And a lot of those guys, those names, were going to probably be in the mix for a bottom six spot. But last night's effort combined with just the sheer amount of players ahead of them, it's a good thing for the organization that we can send them all back to Bakersfield now and really suss out what our team is going to be up here now.
Rick, any surprises?
First, I hate using the word effort in those situations. The results weren't great. I get it. But I can guarantee you effort was not an issue last night.
That's fair. I was just generally talking about the game in I guess I could have just said the same thing. I could have just said the game last night.
We did that thing a couple of weeks ago where we wanted to get rid of one sports word. I think that might be one of them.
Yeah, no, fair enough.
Anyways, yeah, I was a little bit surprised. I thought Cooper Marody was in line for that third, fourth center spot, whether you consider Sheehan to be the third or the fourth, whatever. So he was... I thought at most he would get even just a little bit more, like one, maybe two more games before they put him down. But so that one a little surprised. I wanted Benson to be a lot better. I think he had a decent training camp. He wasn't bad. He just didn't stand out in the ways I expected him to. Caleb Jones, same thing. The thing that really upset me though is that it pushes him out of that. I guess they're thinking Lageson's going to be there, but I was hoping one of those guys was going to try and steal that third left defense spot, so we can finally get rid of that contract.
Chris Russell, right?
Yes, that's the one.
There you go.
Because that contract's huge and it's killing us, especially in a 5, 6, 7 type of defenseman role. Samorukov, he looked okay, but he was never going to crack the top 6. The rest of them, yeah, kind of. After watching every game so far, I'm not horribly surprised. Disappointed that Marody and Benson are gone already, but Holland did say earlier this year that he'd rather call players up than send them down. So to me, this is just him keeping his word.
To me, the surprising one is Cooper Marody because he's been one of the better performing forwards and he's kind of in the mix for a fourth line center spot. Though, like Rick just said, with Ken Holland in town manning the ship, I guess I shouldn't be surprised. Maybe I'm just still getting over previous regimes and getting used to what happened. Tyler, what do you think?
Yeah, like to me, I'm not so much surprised that they got sent down or that they aren't making the team. I think everyone could have seen all of these coming. I'm surprised at how early it happened. Like, I wouldn't have minded seeing Cooper Marody get a couple more looks because he looked good. I wouldn't have minded seeing Tyler Benson get a preseason game with Nugent Hopkins and Neal or do something like that. Try to work these guys into skill roles, but at the same time, maybe it is a good thing that there's some veterans outperforming them and Ken Holland is taking the more cautious approach. If there's one name there that surprised me the most, it was probably Caleb Jones. Because if you would have told me coming into camp that Caleb Jones is going to be one of the first round of cuts, I wouldn't have believed you. I thought this is a guy who, because he's open to playing the right side, although he didn't look good there in the preseason tilt against Vancouver, but because he's open to playing the right side, I just kind of assumed he was going to stick around for a while. And based on what we saw from him last year, he jumped Ethan Bear on the depth chart on organizational priority. And now it looks like heading into this season, Ethan Bear has leapfrogged him once again. So just the way that kind of played out was surprising to me.
From Coach Dave Tippett, Caleb Jones just had a few guys play better than him. Bouchard, Bear, and Lagesson specifically. They're all close, but those three had better camps. Jones, he's talking about versatility will help him out. He can play both sides, so saith Dave Tippett.
I don't think they gave Benson the proper line mates to play with in that situation. Like, I think in the first game he had a couple AHL guys. He never got a shot with Nuge. He never got a shot with Neal. Marody's best shift last night was when Benson was on his line. The thing that fears me the most is those guys got sent down when they did because none of these quote unquote scratch tickets have taken any spots. Nobody's won a position yet. We just got to the point right now where put the kids back and let these other guys try and figure out who can even fit in the top 6. Let the other kids go down, try and get going in, the back end of their training camp and some preseason, some games down there. But I'm fearful because not one of these scratch ticket guys has looked good at all.
Yeah, but I mean, we're only talking about 3 preseason games so far. And it's one of those things like Bag Milk said that Holland has said that he wants guys to be moving up, not being sent down again after 5 games or 6 games, that kind of thing.
Well, those guys sure aren't moving up anywhere.
But that's the point, is that to me, it's like he's okay with having a guy like Nygaard be put on waivers because he is being outplayed by Benson down in the AHL. So Benson gets the call up, Nygaard gets sent out of town kind of thing.
Nygaard has not beat Benson out right now.
Nope.
Not one of these scratch ticket guys has done anything so far. But this is what my biggest fear with bringing all these guys in is I'd rather have a $2.5 to $3 million player who can go out there and actually play instead of all these $800 to $1.25 million guys who you're just hoping for the best in.
Okay, but you're not even counting the $5 million in dead cap space. Go ahead, Dan.
But Yurko's had a great game. Yurko has outplayed Tyler Benson.
He had some good shifts, yes.
He's
not had a great game.
Nygaard looked better last night than Benson did.
That's fair, but we're not saying anything.
But
not one of these guys that still look like they're going to be a bottom 6 NHLer.
The point is that to me is you trim the fat. You have to make cuts at some point during training camp.
That's fair.
So you've made the cuts, and now Benson, now Cooper Marody, now Caleb Jones, they all go down. Bakersfield camps start next week, I think, Monday or Tuesday.
Yeah.
And so they're into the mix of things there. and then they earn their spot coming back to the team now.
Who's earning their spot though? Who's taking their spot right now? Nobody's really taking their spot.
But I
This
think
is
that's
my
kind of
fear
the
about
point
bringing all these
is
little guys.
no one's taking their spot. Like Benson and them had to come in and blow the doors off, or else it's you got to spend more time in the American Hockey League.
I completely agree with that. Just my fear is that nobody is beating them out for their spots. We're moving them out to let these other guys try and figure their way out, not because they're doing something. It's because we still have more question marks about these guys.
They have to be able to fit the team on a bus to Penticton, Rick. So some people
There's
just
an
weren't gonna
airport
have
in
a spot.
Kelowna. You can fly, and then we can take a couple Ubers. Do they have what are they? Birds and what are the other scooter?
The Lime scooters.
Yeah,
Lime
take some
scooters
or
to
something.
Penticton.
Some rollerblades.
I like
some-
it.
Listen, there's no better
10
team bonding
speeds.
than rolling around on an e-scooter with your buddies. That's all I'm saying. Back to Dave Tippett when he's speaking specifically about Marody. He said Marody needs to work on his overall game. He has a great attitude and knows what he needs to improve. Benson is also really close. I have liked him and Marody to produce more in rookie camp, but he's very close. Good all-around game. So there's praise for both guys. They just need to do a little bit more in the AHL.
One, I have a couple points. One, I really like how direct Dave Tippett is. He doesn't give you the whole any cliches.
There's no tap dancing.
Yeah, he's just like, here's a 2-sentence answer, but it's exactly what you want to hear from him based on the question. So I really like that. The other side of this is we don't. Oh, someone is drilling out here. I doubt the mics are picking that up, so I'm bringing attention to it for no reason. But we don't see practices, right? Like, for all we know, he could really like what Nygaard, whatever the hell we're calling him, has been doing in practice. He might look at Marody and go, okay, he's getting beaten a lot of battle drills in practice. You know what I mean, right? Like, there's a whole nother side to training camp than just what's happening in the preseason games.
And that's fair.
Yeah.
We got to be hopeful about that. And maybe tonight we're going to see some of those guys step up. I know I'm really curious to see about our new Russian friend. So he's
Birdasov.
Birdman.
The Birdman's
nice.
in tonight. The Birdman's in tonight.
He's in with Nuge tonight.
But
And Leon Draisaitl makes his first preseason appearance tonight as well, in between Nygaard and Zach Kassian on the first line. Then they've got Birdasov with Nuge and Gagne, and then Kara, Sheehan, Archibald, Haas, Cave, Chiasson to round out the forward group.
That's a hell of a look for Joachim Nygaard, because if him, Draisaitl, and Kassian click and prove that they can be a good top six line, maybe McDavid's expendable.
Could be, yeah. Like,
I thought
you just don't need him.
I knew you were going to
Ship him
go
out.
there, and I still am shocked you went there. Like, I could see where you were heading.
I was giving you credit. I was going to say you're going to put Nuge and Connor together. But now we're just getting rid of Connor. Imagine what you can get for him, though.
Could we
yeah,
be looking at a
hell of a
third line of Connor McDavid and Josh Archibald?
Oh, damn.
Wow. Big topic of conversation, especially after last night's shellacking to the Vancouver Canucks, is goaltender Mikko Koskinen and his glove hand. Jay, you've grabbed a mic instantly. What do you got to say about Mikko?
I've got a report from Finland.
Go ahead.
I'm told it is not improved.
Oh, no.
And I was told not to expect great things from his glove hand this season.
Yeah. Well, at least most NHLers probably don't know about it. You know what I mean? Like, they don't study these guys, right, Tyler?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No homework is done.
I don't know. The scouting report, Jay saying that scares me more than the preseason game does. Like, I wasn't putting much stock into last night. Like, it's your first time facing game speed and all that. But if you're talking to people who say his glove hand hasn't improved in Finland, well, I mean, if word isn't good out of the motherland, that's a bad sign.
Well, and they were just a turnover cafe last night too. Like, that was a real nice pass by Keegan Lowe to set up that 2-on-1 for the Canucks.
Well, there's a couple of things too. Like, if I'm still in full Kool-Aid mode, and I'm going to defend Mikko Koskinen a little bit, where those two goals that went in over his glove side, the first one was through all kinds of traffic. All right, I'm going to give him a pass on that. Maybe if he was a couple inches taller, it would have hit him in the shoulder. Right, Tyler?
If he was a
You're
couple,
shaking your head at me.
inches taller, he wouldn't be able to walk through doorways.
The second one was a perfectly executed 2-on-1.
Yeah.
At some point, you have to give a little bit of credit to the players for executing as well as possible.
Because we're all in the Nation Real Life Fantasy Football League.
Go ahead.
The Patriots just released Antonio Brown, and that is hilarious.
That guy's having himself a
I guess that's the end
hell
of his
of a-
career.
I'm in a QB conundrum at the moment because Cam Newton is not going to play this week. So
Mm-hmm.
I have to pick. I'm going to have a side conversation maybe with Rick on the two options that I will not disclose to protect my team.
Welcome
All
to-
you motherfuckers might try to pick up the guy I want. But I've got to pick up a QB ASAP Rocky.
back to the Edmonton Oilers. I want to talk about Mikko Koskinen. Tyler, you put out a question of the day on ON Radio's Twitter account and Instagram. Go follow both at ON Radio Podcast. How much stock or how worried are you on a scale of 1 to 10 about preseason results? I'm going to start with you because this is your question.
Yeah, so like we've had years and years of the Oilers dominating preseason games, going 6-1 in the preseason. Anton Lander, is he finally a third-line center? Is Ty Ratty the answer? Like we do the same song and dance every single year. We all get super stoked, and then they fall flat on their face in the regular season. So like I never liked that. I never liked looking at a guy who ripped up the preseason and being like, oh man, there he is. He has finally arrived. We are good to go. So I don't like doing it on the other side of things either. Like Mikko Koskinen last night, is that like incredibly alarming? Not I'm not like, oh well, the season's already over before it started because Koskinen hasn't fixed his glove hand. Like to me, with those established NHL guys, I want to see them more into the regular season. To me, training camp is just kind of like filling out the bottom of your roster, making sure everyone's ready for game 1 of the regular season. The results don't mean much to me.
Dan?
I think it just comes down. I think Gregor said it last night too, that it's like it comes down to the individual performances of people, and you can't look at, the Oilers lost 6-1 last night, but to me it's the guys that stand out versus the guys that looked rough, and that's where like especially for a guy like a Benson or a Marody, where we're talking about they had a chance to really excel. I think that seeing an individual performance from somebody where you're like, okay, all right, like Yurko in the game previous, where he just kind of
Thomas Yurko McDavid.
He drove the offense. Yeah,
that's right.
He stressed out some people
on
about
some shifts.
I did, man. It was so funny. I tweeted out Thomas Yurko McDavid during that game when he scored the other day, and fuck, man, some people were mad about it. But mad.
To come back to what you said though, Rick, like you're right that it is on some shifts, but it's even just it's the noticing individual performances more than the team on a whole, because like we said, their lines that they're looking at, like our power play was horrendous last
So give me
night.
a number, 1 to 10. How concerned are you?
I was not concerned, but when I look at preseason performances, I put probably about a 4 or a 5 in stock into their individual performance.
6.5. Actually, it's going to go up to 6.7 now with Jay's
An homage to Benoit Pouliot.
Yeah, with
Nice.
Knowing what's going on in Finland, though, it's definitely up to a 6.7.
Never forget.
Here's my thing with even assessing like individual performances, like especially for blue liners, this concerns me, is that a lot of times you're just paired with an AHL caliber D-man, right? Like it's hard to look at
Jones.
Well, that could
was
be part of
rough
it
last
too.
night.
Yeah. So I think sometimes you can look into things and you can put stock into them because obviously the coaching staff does, but you always need the context. You can't just be like, this guy had 3 giveaways and was -3 and they were brutal. Well, okay, was he playing with Keegan Lowe, and was Keegan Lowe maybe terrible, and were those turnovers because the wingers weren't coming in and giving him support for a breakout pass, right? Like there's layers to it, in my opinion.
To that exact point, I said last night in the wrap-up that James Neal, I love watching his hands and his ability to make little plays with the puck. And then the first comment in was, yeah, but he was a -3. And I was like, well, okay.
Who gives a shit?
He was playing with Nygaard and Ryan McLeod. Like,
and
that's not going to be his regular season line. Give me a break.
And that's the thing too, Bagmilk. Like you said, you just see like little glimpses of what you like from a guy, and you see things that you don't like from a guy.
How dare I be positive?
Yeah.
Jay, what do you think? On a scale of 1 to 10, how concerned are you on preseason results?
I think we're actually leveraging preseason for what it's supposed to be.
Yeah, which is jobs.
Evaluation of players. Like, who fucking cares the outcome? Let's set these guys up to try to prove themselves, and let's just like hang them out and throw them to the wolves. So, I'm not like, we used to be the champions.
Yeah, preseason champs.
Preseason, like that was our playoffs. But like, I think we're actually taking a systematic approach to this, and we got like a coach who's actually evaluating the players that his GM has provided him to try to assemble the best team available that he can provide from the players he's been given. So, yeah.
And last night, Gregor tweeted it that the Oilers were 6-2 in the preseason last year, second place to only the Detroit Red Wings, who were 7-1. And how did the season go for both those teams? Who gives a shit? Ty Ratty is in the KHL today.
For Detroit, 5th last.
Ty Ratty's in the KHL, and he was the preseason champ last year. He was the answer. This year, Thomas Yurko McDavid could be the answer. I don't know. He might be.
Or by December, he could be in Bakersfield.
Could be.
Kuhn did chime in and said that.
Well, then we're going to win a Calder Cup.
Yurko can't get the answer belt just from preseason performances anymore.
Listen, Kuhn can't chime in from over the pond with these kind of hot takes.
I reached out to him via the Oilers Nation Twitter during the game because somebody asked, is Yurko the answer?
He's all drunk on Jameson anyways. That really doesn't matter. Here's my question, though. How many of these guys are willing to go to Bakersfield? Is Yurko willing? Is Haas willing? Are any of these guys willing? Or if they, it's someone looks at them and says, okay, you got to go down for a stint, are they going to say peace out and go to Europe?
Well, and that comes back to the whole, should we have cut Benson and everything? And it makes sense if that is the case, that you don't want to risk losing a Haas or a Nygaard to Europe just because you want to send them down to Bakersfield for a minute.
Why? But if they can't make, if they don't make the
best
opening
team, I don't give a shit.
Yeah, if they don't make the opening roster, they don't make their opening roster.
Fair enough.
Yeah, to me though, like if Haas or Yurko or Nygaard, I think Nygaard's going to be on the team, so I think it's just kind of like a Haas-Yurko thing.
Haas might be the one, yeah.
If it's like if
Haas has not impressed me, by the way. Sorry to cut you off.
No, he hasn't impressed me either. But if they had like an under the table, like, hey, if you don't make the team, we'll terminate you. You can go back to Europe, sign your $300,000 a year deal, whatever happens to be there. Then you need to be really, really sure about him before you let him go, because you don't want to let an NHL player slip. With Benson, if in November he's ripping up the A and you go, you know what? We're still not liking Gaetan Haas, then maybe you make that switch and you can bring Benson back, whereas you can't really bring Haas back if he's just going to go back to Europe once you cut him.
I hope that sending Tyler Benson down is lighting a fire under him in that he's just wants so badly to be an Edmonton Oiler this year that he starts the season on a fucking heater.
Yep.
That's what I'm hoping for Tyler Benson.
Got to think Ken Holland's thinking that way too, Bag Milk.
I bet Ken Holland is also thinking about our friends at Sherwood Ford the Giant. He's probably got a Twitter account. He probably follows them at Sherwood Ford and on Instagram at Sherwood Ford _ the Giant. He's probably even searching for the Nation Truck, #Nation Truck, for a chance at a $100 gas card.
Dave Tippett, huge fan of Fords.
Dave Tippett looks great standing next to the Nation Truck. We have pictures of it. This is a real thing that happened. We will post that later. Go ahead and follow Sherwood Ford on Twitter at Sherwood Ford and on Instagram at Sherwood Ford _ the Giant. Also, selfishly, I'm going to pump Frank versus Gus, which is going to be kicking off again this year. We have got two good boys going to battle.
They don't need any preseason action?
Frank has been training all summer long. He's ready. He might get a preseason round again.
Well, if Connor's going to get in one game.
Frank don't play until Connor does.
That's fair.
That's all. He told me last night. The man knows what he wants, and I am not going to disagree with him. Watch out for Frank versus Gus with our friends at Sherwood Ford the Giant coming up very, very shortly. We are going to take a break here because we are going to have a special guest coming in.
Are we going to ask Jay about Europe? Are we going to talk a little Europe?
Oh, yeah, we can definitely talk about Europe.
Oh, you're staying for the interview? Oh, hell
Absolutely,
yeah. Okay,
man.
sweet. No, miscommunication.
He's got
Let's
nowhere
do
to
it.
go.
He's got nothing going on.
You can't hear nothing.
You'll
But
just-
I'll figure that out.
Yeah. We are going to take a quick break. We've got a special guest coming up. We're going to talk a little bit of Calgary Flames preview with our friend Ryan Pike from Flamesnation.ca.
Follow Oilers Nation on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
Now on the phone, we have a very special guest. We have Flamesnation.ca editor Ryan Pike on the phone. He is credentialed by the Calgary Flames. He has been in the dressing room. You can find him on Scrum Lurkers every now and then. Ryan, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing well. It's nice they're on the road, so I get to sleep a little bit today.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to ask you a couple of questions about the Calgary Flames and what they're going to look like this season. It's been a little bit of a quiet summer for them, but first I want to preview tonight's game. Looking at the Oilers lineup, we're getting some more NHLers coming in tonight. Is that kind of the same for the Flames? Where are they at with training camp right now?
Right now, they're still doing some auditions, so it'll be you're not going to see Johnny Gaudreau tonight. You're not going to see Mark Giordano tonight. Unfortunately for you guys, you're not going to see Cam Talbot tonight. But Big Save David Riddick is going to be starting. He'll play at least half the game. He faced 4 shots against Vancouver in his 30 minutes on Monday, so they want to see if they can get him a bit more work. So he'll play 30 minutes, maybe more than that. We'll see. And then in terms of the forward ranks, there's no Matthew Tkachuk, obviously, because he's still unsigned. So Sam Bennett's be playing on the top line with Michael Backlund and Michael Frolik. And from there, it starts getting kind of AHL-y. And that's it's kind of a fringe and tweener lineup for the Flames tonight. The Stockton's camp opens on Monday, so the probable plan is they're going to be cutting a lot of bodies loose after the game. So it might be the last chance for a few guys to really distinguish themselves because, with Yusuf Alamaki getting injured, there's a roster spot open, potentially 2 roster spots open on the blue line. There's maybe 1 or 2 up front. So it's going to be interesting to see if any of the guys who need to make a push can make a push.
Has there been any kind of training camp surprises going on in Calgary right now? Maybe somebody who might get a spot or a job that maybe wasn't expected off the hop?
Maybe not a job necessarily, but, the Russian goalie they brought in, Artem Zagadulin, he came in from Magnitogorsk, and he pitched a shutout in the one prospect tournament game he played against you guys, and everyone's like, yeah, whatever, it's the Oilers prospect, it's a prospect game, who cares? And then he went in, he played in the Victoria half of the home and home series the Flames play with Vancouver, and he pitched a shutout in the 35 minutes he played there, and that was against actual NHL bodies. So he's only 23. He's played exactly, 0 minutes of regular season North American hockey. But, goaltending is goaltending, and some guys can just figure it out really quick. So we'll see what he can do. He might be changing their decision-making a bit as far as how they're going to deal with goaltenders in Stockton. But beyond that, hasn't really been a terribly interesting training camp in terms of storylines. The guys that we thought would be pushing for jobs are pushing for jobs. Andrew McDonald's been pretty good. He's in on a PTO. He's looking for a job. Michael Stone has looked like Michael Stone. He signed a league minimum deal, so he's pushing for a job. Tonight you guys will see an old friend in the form of Brandon Davidson. He's pushing for a job. He's on a league minimum deal. So they have a few guys like that are sort of, all in sort of the clump of league minimum tweener bodies. And it'll be interesting to see if anyone can actually, start separating from the pack, because so far the only guy who's really done that up front is Dylan Dubé, and on the blue line, no one really has.
You mentioned Brandon Davidson. The Flames did bring in a couple of our former friends this summer, whether that's a PTO. Obviously, there was a big James Neal for Milan Lucic trade earlier. How are the former Oilers looking for the Flames in training camp and in the preseason? Let's start with our old friend Luch. How's he looking for you guys?
He is looking just fine. I didn't really like his game against Vancouver in the sense that I didn't think, his foot speed, let's be honest, he's never been known for his foot speed. His foot speed, he was noticeably slower than the likes of Toby Reeder and, our old friend, Zach Ronaldo. He looks slower than them, but he's always been slower than them. That's not really a revelation. I was at the game they played against, I believe it was the Sharks on Wednesday, and Lucic was actually pretty good. He was, he used his size well. He was a bit more strategic in terms of how he entered things, and I think he seemed a lot more comfortable on the ice. So, he'll be fine. I think he's still a little bit gun shy. He had a puck on his stick in the slot a couple times and just double clutched a bit. But I think a lot of that just sort of getting his timing back and sort of getting his confidence back, because he was in a situation in Edmonton where I think it's fair to say he didn't really have a hell of a lot of confidence with you guys. So I think he's getting there. We'll see what he is. He's probably going to be on the bottom six all year, and maybe power play time a bit too, because he's big. So we'll see what he can do. But so far, so good.
How do you feel like the Flames fan base is in terms of that trade? Do you think it's something that they're on board with, considering how bad James Neal's season was last year? Are they ready to give Lucic a fresh chance, or what kind of expectations are there for him?
So far, when he's been touched the puck, there's very faint Luch chance in the Saddle Dome. It's early, so the chants are still very uncoordinated and faint, but they're there. I think fans they want to see this work out, because Neal was just not a fit, and I think if you're just looking at the attributes of the players, I think Lucic fits what the Flames need and want from their bottom six a lot more than James Neal did. And Neal was such a spectacular washout here that I think fans are just desperate to see something happen. But I think it's basically just a coin toss either way. At best it's going to be a lateral trade for either team.
What about Cam Talbot? It made headlines when he got kind of Bronx cheered or booed or whatever in that preseason game against Vancouver. But aside from that, what is your assessment of his game been, and what's kind of the fan base's take been on him?
I think it's sort of similar. I think fans want to see him work out because it would be a fun story. He would probably say, we talked to him in the Flames locker room after the game against Vancouver, and he was like, "Oh God, I gotta have those." So he's got things to work on. I think it would be, I don't think he's where he wants to be, and I don't think he's where he needs to be. But he's on a one-way deal, paying him $275 this year. So for him, it's basically he's on the NHL roster and he's going to have to figure it out. There's not really anybody pushing him. John Gillies isn't exactly setting the world on fire. Gillies played the Wednesday game against San Jose and gave up 4 goals, and like 3 of them weren't particularly good. So it seems to be the race for the backup role isn't really a race because it's just going to be Talbot's. So we'll see what happens. We'll see if he can, figure things out. They have 4 or 5 preseason games left after this. So I imagine we'll see Talbot get at least a game and a half in, and hopefully he can use that game and a half to start getting his confidence in there because, he just looked like a guy that didn't really have his footing yet in the first game. And, he's going to have to get that over time because it's not going to happen right away.
I know it's a question that you get asked, I'm sure, a lot, and you have to answer it a lot. But I'm sure Oiler fans would love to hear your opinion on a scale of today to Nylander. How soon does Tkachuk sign with the Flames, if at all?
I have a sinking suspicion this is going to turn into sort of a Johnny Gaudreau style situation where, like what happened with Johnny Gaudreau in, I think it was 2014 or 2015, going to the day before camp. And the day before camp, when Johnny Gaudreau realized, oh no, I'm going to miss games here, he just went to his agent, Louis Gross, and said, okay, what's on the table right now? Okay, that sounds fine. We'll just do that. Okay. So for the Flames, I think at this point, it seems like that's going to happen. The last indication we've had, things aren't really close. Granted, it's a negotiation, so that can change in a minute. But, I think the big challenge for the Flames is if this goes down to the wire, like if this happens the day before the season, then it really sort of hampers their ability to maneuver and do their cap wackiness to fit everyone under. I think in an ideal scenario, he signs in a week, and then they have a week to sort of figure out what they can move, who they can move, what they need to move. But, all things being equal, I don't think they'll have that time. I think they'll be, I think this deal gets done in crunch time, and I think they have to do a lot of frenzied maneuvering to fit everything in.
Any concern that is going to drag into the regular season like Toronto saw with William Nylander last year?
There's always a concern. I think both sides are probably hoping it doesn't come to that. And I think, once you get to that time pressure of, oh no, it's almost October, then I think things will really pick up because both sides will start giving a little. But for the time being, like realistically, neither side has anything to gain or lose by just waiting it out. So I think that's why we're seeing everything waited out. And particularly, I think once, let's be honest, like the Mitch Marner deal is the absolute ceiling for Tkachuk. Like all it basically says is, ooh, they shouldn't be paying Tkachuk $11 million for 5 years. And the answer to that is, well, obviously they weren't probably ever going to pay him $11 million for 5 years. So, the deals that have been done have really sort of been here's the distant floor for his value, here's the distant ceiling for his value. And if we happen to see deals for guys like Laine soon, or deals for, like Kyle Connor, or deals for Mikko Rantanen, I think it sort of squishes in the universe of possibilities a bit more. But right now, the universe of possibilities for his deal are insanely, wide and really only bounded by the Flames' ability to cram him under the salary cap. So realistically, until the universe gets smaller in that sense, there's really no reason for either side to really give anything.
Switching gears to maybe a more positive storyline for Flames fans, at least. Mark Giordano was one of the best stories in the NHL last year, going out and winning the Norris, but he's getting obviously a little bit older. He defied age to win that Norris. What are expectations for Giordano like this year?
That's a very good question. I think he's a freak. Let's just be honest here. Joe, if you're listening, it's not meant as an insult. He's 36 years old. Well, he's turning 36 years old next month, and he finished first in fitness testing. He's finished top 5 in fitness testing pretty much every year he's been in the team. And he's just a machine. And he's one of those guys, like looking at in the preseason games, I've seen him play 2 preseason games, and he's going balls to the wall in a meaningless preseason game against the Vancouver Canucks split squad. He's just wired to be insanely competitive, and he works his tail off, and that's why he got to where he is. This season, I think, he probably won't get the same bounces he did last year. I mean, he shot, nearly 7% at even strength. That, as a defenseman, that doesn't happen very often, so that might, drop a bit. His PDO is about, 1.25, so he's not going to get those level of bounces. His teammates' shots won't go in at the same rate, and, the goaltenders won't be as sharp as they were for him last year. But, he's the type of player who has almost Lidstrom-esque underlyings in terms of his ability to generate shots and his ability to suppress shots. And, if his foot speed holds up, it'll probably, hang up pretty well. If his foot speed diminishes a little bit, and let's be honest, over time, he's probably going to see his foot speed diminish at least a little bit. But even if that happens, his underlying numbers will go from being insanely good to being merely pretty good. And the Flames are hoping over time they can use guys like Rasmus Anderson and Yusuf Alamaki to sort of shelter him a bit and give him a bit more time to beat Giordano. But for this year, he probably won't have 75 points again. He probably won't win the Norris again. But he seems like the type of guy who will have somewhere in the 50s or 60s in points, and he'll probably still be in the Norris conversation because people will still be pretty damn impressed by his ability to do what he is as a 36-year-old.
Last question for you, Ryan, before we let you go. We talked about Cam Talbot. Obviously, Mike Smith came up to Edmonton this year. What can Oilers fans expect from Mike Smith on both the good and bad side of the ledger?
On the good side, he's an exciting goalie to watch. He's active in his net. He's roaming around the zone. He's probably the only goaltender I've seen in my career just throw his butt into guys behind the net and body check guys. Like, he's fierce, he's competitive, and he's pretty damn entertaining when he's on his game because he does wacky things, and the way he plays the position is pretty visually interesting. The downside is sometimes Mike Smith gets overly Mike Smith-like. He can wander outside the net and get lost in his wanderings and, leave the net wide open. He can, put pucks over glass. He can put pucks on the sticks of the opposition in his own end with him behind the net puck handling. We had this thing, in Calgary, especially last year, you could actually hear when he went out, roamed out of the net to play the puck, sort of a palpable sense of dread amongst the fan base. The fans would go from buzzing to going, oh. So probably hear that in Rogers Place quite a bit this year, just the palpable sense of dread. But, he's I don't know if he's better than Koskinen, but he's, at his best, he's probably better than Koskinen, and at his worst, he's a different type of bad. And it's just a matter of if he's a type of bad you can live with.
I've got a very bold prediction, Ryan. I want your take on it. I have Mike Smith at 10 assists this year. What do you think? His career high is 3.
He'll get at least 5.
Yeah, I like it. I like it.
There you go. I like that.
Ladies and gentlemen, that is Ryan Pike from FlamesNation.ca. Go ahead and follow him on Twitter at Ryan N. Pike. Thank you very much, my friend.
So take it easy, guys.
Enjoy the game.
You're listening to Oilers Nation Radio, a member of the Nation Network of Podcasts.
Thank you, Tom Gazzola. That was very wonderful. It was interesting to hear Ryan talk about Lucic because he hasn't been hurt yet.
We were all once Ryan.
We were all excited for the guy, and we thought that maybe it was just jitters when he had the puck in the slot, but it turns out he's always been handling a live grenade.
He is not drinking the Kool-Aid. He is funneling it.
Oh, yeah. He's mainlining that shit. And I respect it.
That's a coping mechanism.
I don't blame him because we're all pretty excited. After watching James Neal play in the preseason, we're all pretty excited about him.
Sure.
Flames fans probably think we're pretty stupid for thinking we're excited for James Neal too.
But none of
They're
us are
stupid
saying,
for thinking we're stupid.
And they're sitting there going, well, they're stupid for thinking we're stupid.
No.
That's rivalry.
Flames fans are just fucking stupid.
Can't do that. Pike's nice.
Pike's a great guy.
Pike's a great
guy.
guy.
I love a person who's a big fan of their team. I'm just saying he is a little delusional right now, but as you should be if you're a diehard fan of your team.
Well, because it's not stupid, gentlemen. Ordering something delicious from skipthedishes.ca. Why? Because I know that if you're listening to this, chances are that you probably can't cook. You're probably like me, and you're probably starving, and you're probably alone. You're probably looking at an empty fridge and wondering why you can't feed yourself. There's no sustenance available for you. You're a growing boy, and all of a sudden there's no nutrients. Thankfully, skipthedishes.ca is here for you. Hundreds of restaurants right to your door. Or you could do kind of like what Rick does. Order from multiple restaurants and get that all sent to your door. Have a tour of flavor.
Is it a race? Oh, that's fun.
It's nice. Skipthedishes.ca, whatever you need. You want a curry, you want some delicious oodle noodle, you want something a little bit spicy. Maybe you just want to order some Timbits from Tim Hortons. Why not?
Can you do that?
Absolutely. I've done it multiple times. I've ordered hot chocolate and Timbits at like midnight. It's great.
I love ordering A McMuffins and coffee.
I found out via Twitter the other day that you can order 7-Eleven now. You can get a Slurpee delivered to your door.
And a bag of Doritos.
If you get a Slurpee, can I be like, I want it to be like half Coke,
100%. You got to be able to get the
I love the idea of a skip the dishes driver just being like, all right, 1/3 this, 1/3 this.
Put in a gummy worm there to hide it in
But let's be serious. 7-Eleven, Monterey Jack chicken taquitos, mic drop. That's it.
Skipthedishes.ca. Go get yourself some Monterey Jack taquitos.
Just think of what else you can buy at 7-Eleven.
Oh, buddy.
Hey, Mr. Skip the Dishes guy, you want to pick me up a quick pack of condoms and bring them back over here, please?
Oh, I thought you were going to go my angle
You dirty dog.
where I'm bartering with the chicken man. So I'm going to be like, all right, skip the dishes guy. I need you to barter with the chicken man to get me as many fingies as possible at 2 a.m.
Maybe I'm a little vulnerable. I need a pack of darts.
Maybe it's one of those nights.
There's no way you could order darts on there.
I bet you could. We should try it. We should do an experiment. Jay, you just returned from Finland, where you had an interesting trip for all kinds of reasons. You met some former Edmonton Oilers. You had lunch with a legend.
Mm-hmm.
You met our boy Larvinen, who toured you around. Tell us a little bit about the trip.
Yeah, no, it was awesome. You said Oilers legend in Finland. It's very cute. They say, instead of saying legend, they say legend.
Oh, okay.
It's very cute.
It is
and
nice.
I never correct them because it's just so adorable.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, no, I was Larvinen was on my case to come to Finland because he brought 25 Finns here last year, and we're working on doing an even bigger trip this year.
If you don't know Larvinen really quickly, Jay, you got to go check him out on Instagram. This dude is living his best life as a superstar hockey fan in Europe, and it is really incredible to watch him do his thing.
Larvinen is a legit celebrity. It doesn't matter what rink we were in, people just lining up to take photos. We were at one game where the in-game announcer knew he was there, so he came to his seat. He did an interview. The national team coach was sitting in a box, and he was calling out the national team coach in his speech to everyone. He had the whole building erupting in laughter. We were in St. Petersburg for a KHL game. All these Russians are just like, they're very aggressive, just dragging him, photo, and like just dragging him around to take photos. But like the guy knows everyone. Like I landed in Finland, and within 45 minutes, I'm sitting at lunch with Esa Tikkanen.
And you didn't know this was happening.
No, everything was a surprise. So Larvinen now, Larvinen is a content machine. If you follow him on all mediums, he is constantly pumping out content. He's also now constantly pumping out videos. He's always got a video camera in his hands, a little 4K thing he hand holds. And so he knew Tikkanen was coming. He just kept saying like, "Do you don't mind if we have a fourth? I have a friend coming to join us. I hope you don't mind. Whatever." I'm like, "Sure, whatever." And we're sitting there, and I'm facing him, and he knows he's coming in. And he goes, "Oh, here's my friend," and I just turn, and I'm like, and he'll have a video for it. I'm like, "Holy fucking shit!" And then just like everyone started erupting, and then Tikkanen sat down, and we just had like hilarious stories. One of them being, because I don't know what the temperature in Finland is on Puljujärvi. Obviously, celebrity, big time deal, heavily followed, national team legend, and so I was like, yeah, we're going to Hammarlina after lunch to watch HPK, the team there, play Karpat, which is Puljujärvi's team. And so I was like, I'm really excited to see Puljujärvi because I don't want to mock him because he's a fellow countryman. And he's like, I don't know what that fucking kid is doing. I could slap him.
Whoa.
Beautiful.
Yeah. So Essa's take on what Puljujärvi is doing to us Oilers fans.
Did he give context and why he thinks that?
Yes, because he recognizes that Puljujärvi, it's silly for him to stay away from the NHL, and he realizes and recognizes, Esa, that Edmonton's a really good fit for him. So for him to go out and say those things that he's saying, like he's like, what is he doing? What is his agent doing? He's like, I could slap them.
Interesting. I also like that you were sitting at a Larvinen table.
Yes.
As well.
So once again, Larvinen being Larvinen, he's got his own booth in this bar in Helsinki with a table with which Rick, you need to work on, just photos of Larvinen with his Larvinen logo. So we've converted Larvinen into a giant Oilers fan.
Good.
When we first brought him here in 2016. So now he's created a like Oilers-esque Larvinen logo. That's his thing. So he's got that smack dab. You look at the big screens, there's Larvinen posters on the side. Like the guy, I'm telling you, he is a legit celebrity. Put it into context. Finland is a population of 5.5 million people. He's got like almost 100,000 followers on Snapchat. That's 2% of the population follows this guy.
On
It is incredible.
Snapchat.
His
On
Snapchat
Snapchat.
is wild too. It's like it's constantly going.
It's nonstop.
I follow him on Snapchat, and it's constantly going.
Like he is
All in
nonstop. All in Finnish.
If you don't mind me asking for more background on this fellow, what does he do?
So now this is his full-time gig.
Yeah.
So he used to work for an electrical company and, was just a super fan and started this Larvinen character, which Larvinen I just found out actually means like buzzed. Like
Okay. Getting a little bit Larvinen tonight.
Yeah.
Okay.
So So that kind of makes sense now. But sorry, what the fuck? I'm backtracking because I'm going down another story in my mind.
You're talking about his backstory.
His how he became Larvinen.
So he just kind of built a character around just his general fandom of like Finnish sports. And so he'd put on this wig and these glasses and just like start showing up, and he just started like just hitting the socials hard, and then started just building like this following. When we first brought him to Edmonton, he had 8,000 followers on Instagram, and now he's at like 60-some thousand or whatever the hell.
Crazy.
It is.
Well, and he's just like a larger than life.
Larger than life character, and he's literally a stand-up comedian. Like, I wish I could understand Finnish because he is just making everyone laugh all the fucking time. So it's just that culmination. So he's been able to create up a big enough following, and he's got some companies and sponsors that support him in this, that now this is his full-time gig. So he travels around to watch, not necessarily Finnish hockey, just Finnish sports. So like F1, he was hosting a big crew for this gambling company in Italy to watch, Mikko Räikkönen or whatever his name is, race. And I combined two. Mikko Hakkinen, I think it is.
Mikko Rantanen?
Mikko Rantanen. But like, and so he goes, if it's handball, if it's volleyball, it doesn't matter. He's there.
That's great.
But this guy, like I said, he showed me, I was in Finland for 6 days, and he showed me a very authentic Finnish experience, from going to like super old hot saunas where they're 139 degrees Celsius, and you have to wear these special hats or your ears or head will burn, and then you jump into the lake. Like, the sauna culture there is something that is so amazing. And they have special sauna beers. They're called like a sauna IPA that are like 3% alcohol, and just, yeah, but like they've built stuff around the lifestyle. But the thing that was really resonating is like just the Finnish hockey culture. Like, hockey's number one in Finland. And we went to 2 games in Finland. We went to HBK playing carpet, and then we went to Tampere. So there's 2 teams in Tampere, or Tampere, but they pronounce it Tempera.
I love tempura. It's delicious.
It's so good. But so there's 2 teams in that town. So their season opener it's their Battle of Alberta, and so they've got their rival fans. But just like the energy and the vibe in these Liga games, because they're in like 4,000, 6,000 seat arenas, is insane.
They're in bars.
Insane.
Yeah.
It was so good. And and the hockey's pretty good. You can notice some things where it's not the NHL. Especially like I was ISO cam on Puljujärvi, who was skating around the ice, because I want to like this fucking kid better be good, because he's better either be up in his trade value so Uncle Ken can make his life a lot easier, or he's actually a fucking dud. So it was mixed reviews when I was kind of watching him around there, but he did have a snapshot or a wrist shot at 120 kilometers an hour. The one thing they do in Finland is they provide a lot of stats on the game, like distance traveled. Like, oh, this player went 6,302 meters.
Yeah, the IIHF kind of started doing that, and they're experimenting with it more. That's cool. I really like that.
Well, it's just neat, right?
And you said it was available to fans in the arena, so they can see it up on the scoreboard.
Yeah, it just shows up on the scoreboard. You're like, oh, that's cool. Like, you're like, yeah, like that rush by Puljujärvi and that shot he had where he almost scored because it was a good shot. That was 120 kilometers an hour. You're like, that's pretty fucking cool.
I think hockey fans would prefer that over like when you go to an Oilers game and you watch like the little
crowd
virtual taxi races and shit like that.
How
Right?
dare you? How dare you?
But you know what I mean? I think that's something that if it came
It
to the
keeps people
NHL,
engaged.
people would really like.
Yeah.
But I want to ask about the vibe, because I was watching you on Instagram, the stories you were posting.
Mm-hmm.
Finnish hockey fans are bananas.
Yeah.
What can we take back from them? What can we just straight up steal from Finland and try to crowbar into our game experience? Is that something that the fans can do, or is that something that the organization has to get behind as well?
We just need to like muscle in some like our own hockey culture, because like this is years and years and years and years of this building up. But like the minute they get into the building, they're turned on. Like, you're in the parking lot and everyone's like, oh, whatever. And then you get into the building and then it's fucking on.
The freak flag comes out.
Exactly, right? And it's, they've got these big sections for both home team and rival team, and they are just going ham. And people jump in and out of that, and just the vibe around that, the sound, it's just, everything's loud. And I think like the smaller arena experience really adds to it too, because it's everyone kind of stacked on top of each other. Yeah. It's very tight, but it is something we can apply to a Rogers. If everyone subscribes to it, or you build sections that people can kind of jump in, we just have to like will it. Everyone's got to go and see this and feel it. And then that'll hopefully give you the motivation to want to do it, because when it's executed, it is fucking unreal. And like, to take it even a step further, we went to a KHL game that's 15,000 people. And we're in St. Petersburg watching our boy, Nail Yakupov.
Couple of former friends on this trip for you.
Absolutely fucking snipe one. And the building erupts. Like, it was insane. And just the constant sound. They do some things that I'm not going to disclose, because maybe we're going to try to implement these ourselves. We're going to try to create some culture. But it's nonstop. It's nonstop. You feel it's, the hockey game is an event. And that's what I heard about Montreal. I heard Montreal is a very good arena. Players always say it's the best because it's intense. And it's because fans don't treat it like a game. They treat it like an event. And I think that's what, like Montreal is kind of like an older culture city. So there's kind of that connection to, to Europe, I think, in that. And I think, like for us, like if the question is, what do we need to do or what can we steal? It's just coming in and making some noise. These guys have songs and stuff like that. Like that takes time to build. But when you have it, it's not, they got each rival side has got like their drummen, like in Viking times, like leading like the row. And like they just boom, 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 boom. Like, and that sets the tone for the song. Like,
and do they not do beers there?
So they do beers. You just can't drink them in their seat. So everyone just like runs to the beer lines and you crush 2 in the intermission. You got to stay focused.
Right.
And there's no big, huge bathroom lineups there. So it's all good. So you can squeeze in a leak and crush 2 beers, and then you go back to your seat and you cheer for 20 minutes and then run back.
There's no casually enjoying those beers, Tyler. You got to put them down the hatch.
I never casually enjoy a beer.
When the Finns were in Edmonton, they're like, the greatest luxury was bringing beers to their seats. They thought they were getting away with murder.
You went, like you said, you went to a KHL game. What are they serving there? Are you getting some just straight up vodka shots as you walk in the door, or what?
Well, that was the fucking hope. But fun fact about Russia: no drinking on Sunday at like events and stuff. I'm assuming it's a religion thing. I don't know.
You have to think so. Yeah,
so they don't serve beer at the games on Sundays.
Really?
What?
Yeah. So I came in, got a little pregame on, getting excited. Obviously nervous as fuck because they have military walking through the building. Like the one thing I felt about in Russia, like the minute I was like, every moment was I'm like, holy shit, it's crazy. I'm in Russia. But the military presence at the game, like you just felt safe. But like you also didn't want to fuck up because like there's these guys wearing giant oversized. I got some photos and we'll get those poses like storm coats. And I know there's some kind of
there's an AK under there for sure.
Some crazy assault rifle there that you don't want to fuck around.
Absolutely.
And also there, no booze or drinks of any kind in the seats in KHL as well.
That's interesting, actually. That's not something I would have ever guessed. Like, I guess you just take it for granted here, but that's weird.
Well, that's our culture, right? One of the neat things, sorry, I'm bouncing all around because literally this was a trip of a lifetime. So much so that I think if you're an Oilers fan, great, but you're obviously a hockey fan as well. This is something everyone needs to go experience, is come to a place like Finland. And I think Larvin and I are going to work on something to make that actually happen. But a fun thing they do in Hämeenlinna, which is a small town, is anytime the team is leading in the game, beers are €3 cheaper.
Whoa.
It's just such simple little things like that, eh?
€3. And a beer, I think, to begin with is only like €6. Well, I shouldn't say only. That's still like $9. But like €3 off in the leading.
At half price?
Yeah. Whew. Isn't that crazy?
That's really
cool. I went there.
Leading.
It was because they weren't, the game was tied after the first intermission. And I'm like, okay, whatever. Beer's beer. And then the second intermission, they were up 1. And all of a sudden, I'm like, why did it just become so cheap? And then I had to ask, and it's because when they're leading, everyone wins.
I feel like in North America, the owners would be like, yeah, but then the guys are going to stand up if we score the first goal and walk away. Like, but they didn't. Obviously, you said that it was like the intermission was the rush, eh?
Yeah. It was just such a crazy thing. I'm like, wow, rewarding like positivity.
That is interesting. Like, how many people in the barn are we talking? Roughly.
In this one, I think it's 5,000 that I'm good old.
Oh, so it's nice and small. They are on top of each other, but the vibe is still excellent, even though there's that few people. It's because the reason I'm asking is like if you can put 18,000 into Rogers Place and it's quiet as fuck, but you got 5,000 people going bananas.
Yeah.
It just creates a much better environment overall.
100%. Like 100%. Like if just like in playoffs, like if we're in playoff mode in regular season, like Rogers is erupting.
Yeah, I mean, Rogers during playoff time is unbelievable.
That 16-17 run, like people shit on Rogers Place and say the crowds haven't been good. But yeah, when they got to the playoffs, it was still fucking bananas in there.
We show up for the playoffs. I'd love to see the Finns in playoff mode. Like then it's like I bet you
somebody's getting arrested.
Do they even have another gear to get to?
Well, I bet you everyone just participates because you got the sections of the the supporter groups where they're just on max. I think everyone just joins that. Would be my guess.
They're all at Larvinen's level in the playoffs.
Larvinen's level. Yeah, fucking Larvinen. And so in St. Petersburg, once again, surprised. Like he was always not telling me this shit. Like we're just like, oh, we're just gonna go check out this thing, and like all of a sudden now we're in the country, in this beautiful summer home with this beautiful lake, and now we're having a sauna in this like lakeside, like all these little things were just like hilarious. But like the one that blew my mind, Essatikinen. But then we're in St. Petersburg and we're going to meet. And I kind of knew we would meet this guy is Marco Antala, who is the captain of the captain of the national team. They won the gold medal World Championships. World Championships to the Finns is everything.
Is it?
And in the Swedes, like the Euros, that it is like fucking everything. They love Olympics too. Yeah.
So it's like the international tournaments.
International tournaments are so important because like tight knit country. That's the one thing. Like tight knit country. Like Finns are so passionate about Finns. When we went and sat at Larvinen's table, the bar was packed because they wanted to watch the Norwich Premier League game because they have a Finn on the team. That's it.
That's neat.
That's so fucking cool.
Oh, it's unreal. And it's like us with the Olympics and stuff, like world champions, obviously not so much, but like we get together like that. But like it is like if it's a Finn in anything, like they're on it.
I find that interesting just in the sense of like world championships here, nobody gives a fuck.
No.
It's like TSN 3 type of stuff.
Well, when the World Championships were in Halifax, the Latvians showed up like in fucking like en masse. They had no chance of any kind of performance, but they were just there because it was the World Champions.
It would be good to do a trip to a World Championship. Now, the thing is, you don't want to be going to the World Championship because that means you're out of the playoffs.
Yeah.
That's the bit. And I think maybe that's why it's the counter to that, because it's like a bad thing that you're going there. But I'm just like, because all the other countries show up, I bet you it'd be unreal to go attend to.
When you were over there, did you get the sense that there's a big NHL culture over there just based on the time difference and all that kind of thing?
100%. 100%. There's, you're seeing just random NHL hats all over the place. Like, so it'd be a guy in his, Jokerit jersey wearing a Leafs hat.
And we saw it with the trip coming here too.
Yeah.
There's fans of every team.
Well,
on that trip,
a lot of those, and so all those guys now are Oilers fans. So about 12 of the 25 that came to Edmonton all showed up. They're not all from Tempera. They all showed up to Tempera so we could have like a reunion. They just like flocked from all,
the best.
And they're all wearing their nation hats, and they're like fucking like, and just all had something to say. And I'm like, it was unreal. It was unreal. And then Larvinen, back to the Marco Antala KHL meetup. This big surprise and reveal there. Once I realized I knew I was going to be meeting him, was Larvinen caught wind that Currie was traveling with the team, which he never normally does. So he had reached out to let him know. Like he had talked to some players in the team, like, hey, so like let us know what's going on. So Currie walks out of the building, and Larvinen just starts barking a bunch of Finnish. Blah, 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 blah. And the minute Currie walked out of the building, there's some people, like autograph people and fans there waiting, and they just flocked to him, right? Because that's Jari fucking Currie. So this flock of people's around Jari Currie, and Larvinen's like, blah, 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 Edmonton. Jari Currie stops everything he's doing, goes, Edmonton, where is he?
No way.
Like Edmonton, I'll see you all in a bit. I got to talk to this Edmonton guy first. Fuck. And then so Currie came, we chatted. And, he's like, what did you think of the hockey? What did you think of the game? Like, really, like, kind of picking my brain about it. And, like, two of Larvinen's buddies had never met Currie, and Currie's, like, gold standard.
Sure, he's fucking Jari Currie.
And so, like, they're, like, jumping in, like, wanting to talk to him and, like, get photos. It was, like, really cool, but, like, so nice. Like, but, like, it was just, like, when he was, because I saw him, he was like, Edmonton, like, where, like, and I was assuming saying, where is he? But, like, just stopped everything he was doing, came to me, and then went back to everyone else and signed his autographs and hopped on the bus.
Did this trip to Finland get you even more jacked up for all the Finns coming back here? Because this year we are doubling up essentially the trip that we're
going big. Well, this is going to be a Canadian adventure. So the mission is 50 fins. We have some limitations with airlines, but we're working on that. But the goal is 50 fins. Larvinen, because of all the content he created about me, making fun of me while I was there, is already gauged a whirlwind of interest. And there's already people that want to come back that were on the first trip. So we're going to hit Edmonton January 10th with 50 fins. We're taking a bus to the Battle of Alberta.
You're going to be able to join that too if you're apt to.
Yep, exactly. We're going to make that open for everyone to join the craziness that is the fins. Then they're coming back. We're going to watch another game. We're hopping another bus. We're going to go ski in Jasper for 2 days, come back, watch another game, and then send them home.
Now, you went to Finland this time. Last time Larvinen came here. Did he ask you to win him a barbecue or purchase a barbecue since he won you one when he was here last year?
So I was like, man, I really hope you don't want me to win you a barbecue. He's like, you're lucky. We don't give away barbecues at Finnish hockey games. So I was off the hook. But I do owe him a well-cooked steak, Alberta beef ribeye steak when he gets here, probably 90,000 ounces. Massive. Oh, and the donair. Loves the donair. He took me for some authentic late night bar eats.
What are we talking about?
It's funny. It's like it's this weird version of poutine, like in the sense it's not gravy. It's like a ketchup brown sauce and a lot of cut up sausage, and then like a burger as well, a traditional burger where they grill and flatten down the bun. Anyways, it was great.
Almost like a grilled cheese?
Like a panini type situation.
Yeah, it was a panini. Yeah, it was a panini. You stop at this roadside thing and you walk into like this little like window and you get this like hilarious burger. It was good. But honestly, I'm telling you, this was a trip of a lifetime. And that's since it made such an impact on me, I want to try to build something around that, because anyone who listens to this, you need to come and see this. We need to go. It's a pilgrimage. We need to go learn from our forefathers on how to be like amazing hockey fans. And also a fun fact.
Please.
Full of fun facts. The first covered arena in Liga was in Tempera in 1965.
That's not that long ago.
I know. It's not. So that was the first arena. I was trying to find out when the last arena was covered, but before that, it was all outdoor games.
Man, that is nuts. Like, we're talking about Finland. We're not talking about California here.
Nope.
It is chilly. I respect that.
Yeah, they're good.
I respect that a lot. Tyler, what are we doing for time?
Well, we're coming up on the end here, but this was a hell of a podcast. We got like our good Oilers preseason talk, roster talk. We got to chat to Ryan Pike, and then this was just a great way to end it. I feel like I almost went to Finland now because Jay's so passionate and fired up about it.
Next September, maybe you will be.
It did make me hungry for a trip.
Rick doesn't have a mic because we don't have enough, and Ricky's just been in the background yelling this whole time.
Larvinen's a little nervous, so we're going to do like 10 to 20 people is the mission, but I have a feeling, given his influence, there's going to be some similar surprises to what I experienced. And a lot of sauna. Every building in Finland, business like tower, like offices, have their own sauna, because that's where the business gets done. Anytime there's a deal negotiation, everyone gets buck chunsy, goes into a sauna, breaks a little vodka, and that's where they hammer out deals because you have nothing to hide.
In 6 months from now, this podcast studio will be turned into a sauna, and we will be looking for another place to park all this equipment. Any last words on the trip to Finland, Jay?
I just want to thank Larvinen, my boy Sammy, my boy Tommy. They let me into their homes. They fed me I had reindeer nice. Meatballs. But delightful. Honestly, all I want to say is like every minute I was there, I felt like I was living a dream. Finland is actually a really beautiful country. It's like a giant forest with a million beautiful lakes. The people there are very nice. They speak great English, and the beer is delicious, and the hockey culture is amazing.
Perfect. I think we can wrap up there. Tyler, what do you think?
Hell yeah, man.
That is all for episode 54 of Oilers Nation Radio. I want to thank all of you for listening. I want to thank Sherwood Ford the Giant and, of course, Skip the Dishes for making this all possible. And I want to give a personal shout out to my friend Eric, the actor, who passed away 5 years ago today. Bye for now.
Shout out Damien.
Best wishes. Thanks for listening to Oilers Nation Radio, a member of the Nation Network of Podcasts. Make sure to follow us on all of our social media to stay up to date and never miss a podcast.